Hey Greg,
Hello.
what are short ends?
A short end is a partial roll of unexposed film stock left over during a motion picture production and kept for later use.
That's correct, my friend. It's also a place for us to chat about films, events, and other movie related topics we don't normally cover in our main episodes.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Welcome to this episode of Short Ends. I'm Andres Anglade, and I'm here with,
Greg Bellavia.
and I say it's an episode of Short Ends, but I feel like it's more of a wellness check on Greg because he went and saw the latest installment of Silent Hill, and the reviews have not been kind, Greg.
I
But
went opening the night, baby.
how are you doing? How did you survive?
I have my notes and the start of my notes, it literally says trouble on the horizon. And I think, we look at stuff coming up and it kind of like helps us inspire our choices. It's just like around the Oscars and around just, different seasons, that type of thing. And with, Return to Silent Hill coming out, that made me want to revisit Silent Hill, the OG, which I really enjoy. And it's got mood, it's got character, it's got a bit of a cult following at this point. And the fact that Christoph Gans, the director, was returning to the franchise close to 2 decades later, that was very interesting to me. And again, as a fan of the first film, I wanted to see kind of what that would look like 2 decades later. But couldn't help but notice not a lot of press around this guy. And I know, January releases, and that's always kind of warning sign number one. We live in Los Angeles. I don't see it on posters. I don't see it on bus stations. I see primate stuff everywhere. I see the new 28 Years Later, the Bone Temple. I see that everywhere.
And Scream. No, you're right. Like I don't see any advertisements for it at all. And considering it's the 20th anniversary of the first Silent Hill film and it's the same director returning, it's really surprising how little marketing is happening for this film. You went and saw a film in the theaters and you sent me a picture of a Silent Hill standee from the theater you went to. And I wrote back, oh, it looks like they shoved that in the corner.
And they did. They literally had shoved it in the corner. It was like, we're contractually obligated to put this up, but we're going to put it
Right.
in literally the back of the theater towards the exit as much as possible. And the number one thing that drives me when it comes to movies and like Prestige, sure, if something has good reviews, that's on my radar, of course. Word of mouth, if a friend tells me something's good, I put a lot of stock in that. But morbid curiosity. Nothing gets my blood pumping harder than morbid curiosity. And I could just tell there's going to be something up with this film. And again, as a fan of Gans's direction, I wanted to go in unspoiled before any reviews, before anything else. And I'm like, I got a real bad feeling about this one. So they were playing it on a Thursday before it comes out the wide release on Friday. Put the kids to bed. Dinner's all taken care of. Drove out for the 10:30 showing. Century City, very deserted mall that just added to kind of like the atmosphere. Like this is kind of a doomed theater going experience. Honestly, I was gonna guess 4 people in theater. I was surprised we got 12 people in the theater, which I was
Wow.
more than I would have gone with. So okay. Couple behind me on a date. I clocked that. A couple other randos like myself throughout the theater. I don't know when the last time within 15 minutes of a movie starting, I thought to myself, oh no. But here, okay, hear me out. Took in the film. There was different reactions throughout the theater, which we will get into. It goes to the credits, and there's some like very like kind of gorgeous shots over like the start of the credits. So I'm gonna sit there and watch it. And as I'm taking in the credits, I'm trying to process the film that I just saw. One of my front teeth, which has a little like filler on it, cracks in the theater. Just ending
Oh no.
ending this movie going experiences. I can feel it go, and I'm like, okay, okay, all right. Like of course, of course.
Somehow that's fitting for
That exactly. I did. I went to go see Marty Supreme recently. Fantastic film. If it had broken during that, not appropriate. Here, somehow appropriate. I drive home. I write my letterbox review, and I went to bed. And the last thought I had before going to sleep is, this is gonna get absolutely nailed. Like people are gonna hate this thing, and that's what happened.
they
Like
do.
so.
They really do. Reading the reviews, it's in our initial Silent Hill discussion, it's always tough when it comes to video game adaptations or even, comic book adaptations where, oh, that's not what Batman really does, or that's
Yeah.
not what Silent Hill the game is like. So you always have to sort of sift through those reviews, and those reviews are almost expected. But these reviews for this film are going beyond that. Absolutely, like it's brutal.
And I think what tipped us over the edge into doing this episode is like I like Moist Critical on YouTube, and they had a video just titled "People Really Hate This Movie," and I was like, "That's about Return to Silent." Like I instantly knew that it was like, oh, that's what that is, and just it's beyond, like you said. Yeah, a lot of movies get bad press, but this one, everybody's upset about it. And we talked, and I'm like, I think we should do an episode because I liked it.
Nice.
Now, look, you're going to read 100 bad reviews. All the points they bring up are valid. I mean, it's flawed. It's a flawed movie. I'm not gonna. So I think that's number one. And coming into this, I even thought, if I'm the lawyer for Return to Silent Hill is going to jail.
Oh,
Return to Silent Hill is going to get the chair, but I'm going to come in as is that a character witness? So I'll say that. So let's get the big stuff out of the way first, so we can dive in. And I guess this is for if you're morbidly curious like myself, if you're cut from a similar cloth. Also, if you like the other Silent Hill or just like Gons in general, I'm speaking to you. And I know a lot of people are not going to like this. And I know you have some questions about all that jazz. The two big things to get out of the way is this is an adaptation of Silent Hill 2, one of the most beloved horror games of all time. Maybe the most beloved horror. It's certainly up there.
Right.
And Gons, God bless him, is trying to do the best adaptation he can. Now, yes, there are some small differences. If you go online, you're going to see Silent Hill 2 fans point those out. And those are big points of contention. They're not the hugest changes in the world, but they're big enough that people are upset by, and I totally get that. But watching this is a clear love letter to that video game. You think of the Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins, that looks nothing like the game. This is clearly somebody who likes the game, who's attempting to approximate it into a film, for good or for ill. The problem is it's different enough that the hardcore gamer is going to be like, you changed things I didn't like. And if you are not familiar with the games, you're going to have no idea what the hell is happening. Because just like the first one, the lore dump in here and trying to fit all the lore pieces together. And I wanted to go back to, in our other Silent Hill conversation, I had brought up having a giant lore or having a whole bunch of backstory. We run into that all the time. You run into that with comic books. You run into that with a soap opera. In like Twin Peaks, what's Twin Peaks about? FBI agent goes to a quirky town and tries to solve a murder. Okay, that's pretty simple. But if you really dive into what Twin Peaks is about, you'd be hella confused if you'd never seen the show before.
Right.
What I think I left out in thinking about this one is, the thing about a video game is you have hours to sit with something. You have days to sit with something. If a lore is complicated, you have a lot of time to kind of like process that or put the pieces together and kind of take it in on your own time. In a movie, under 2 hours, that's a lot to just, it's like a fire hose of information of kind of strange stuff to fit together. So if people are like, yeah, that's really confusing, that's fair. That's a totally fair kind of take to have.
Right.
Other problem is this one had substantially less budget than his first crack at Silent Hill. And sometimes that manifests in some of the digital effects. And honest to God, sometimes that manifests in wigs and a beard, and a very fake looking beard that pops up. Yes. So it's
that's tough, because those are the things that could take you right out of a film, unfortunately. I didn't realize the budget was that much lower. Do you think, we had in our Silent Hill discussion, we had talked about, you and I didn't have an issue if someone takes an IP and decides to do a different story than what the full-on lore is. Do you think if they would have not adhered to an exact adaptation of the second of Silent Hill 2, the game, do you think that would have helped it?
Yes. I don't know. I think if you did 1-to-1, you get nailed for doing it 1-to-1. Well, you're just doing the game one. So he put his own spin on it. But again, I don't, for the people who are upset with the changes, knowing the changes, I get it. I think that's valid. I appreciate Gons trying to put his own stamp on the material with that. Like, okay, you're a creative. You have to do something with that. So to your point, I probably would have drifted even further away. And yes, you're going to maybe alienate those game fans. But again, I don't think this had any hope with like a general audience.
Yeah, that's so tough. And I wonder if the marketing team just knew that.
And that's fair. So it's like somebody I saw said they didn't even try. And that's what kind of want to come in. I don't agree with that at all. I actually think they really tried. Now, whether or not you think that was successful, totally open to your interpretation. But yeah, I was entertained the entire way, and not in an ironic way. Look, I love slasher slop. I love crazy action movies. I love stuff that is not good as long as it's entertaining. And I think something I would use is like The Room. The Room, Tommy Wiseau put his heart into that. Just because something has good intentions by the creative, that doesn't necessarily make it a good movie.
Yeah.
But you're probably going to end up with something pretty entertaining out of here. I feel like Gans really tried with this, and not on an ironic level. I dug large portions of this film. So yes, occasionally a wig would pop up and I'd be like, okay. And then occasionally there'd be a line of like video game type dialogue that would come off very stilted. All that stuff's in there, and you're going to see that in the reviews. But to me, Gans is a very visually interesting director. I like their work, and I like what he does with this world here. When the movie is just James, the central character, kind of wandering around this cursed town and investigating like an apartment complex that's got weird stuff going on it, that's great. The second the plot kicks in or the dialogue kicks in, yeah, that you're going to run into some trouble. But there's large portions of this film where you're just kind of like soaking in this doomed atmosphere. I think that's pretty cool. So I guess if you're going to have a quote unquote bad movie or a movie that doesn't perform well, I wish they all looked this good. I wish they all had this much effort put into them. This is getting treated with the type of contempt that I would save for something. The number one crime that a film can commit to me is to be boring. I did not find this boring at all, or phoned in, or soulless. I would not use any of those descriptors on this. And I could see the drawbacks. And again, the drawbacks would pop up and I'd be like, oh, in the theater, I'd kind of like wince. But then something cool would happen and that would win me over. The couple on the date behind me, laughing hysterically.
Oh no.
Never a good sign. I don't even play. Hey, I hope they had a great date. I hope it went fantastic. But that was happening. And then when the lights came up, there was a guy in the back asleep. So I think they're going to have somebody in the theater eventually wake that gentleman up because he was out. So like, I get it. But if the whole point of Real Demers is for us to kind of like champion offbeat material, which is right there in our normal intro, I liked large portions of this while acknowledging the problems as well.
That's awesome. I'm really glad you at least got something out of it, that it wasn't a total loss.
Pretty soon we're going to be doing our kind of like top 5 hidden gems for us of 2025. And there's movies that like I can recommend without any sort of like qualifier on them that maybe weren't like critical darlings, just to say the least. Yeah, this one's trouble. I wouldn't be shocked if this was on a lot of people's top 10 of the worst at the end of this year. If all top 10 of the worst films of 2026 had this much kind of creativity and style behind them, then we're having an amazing year, in my humble opinion.
Oh, that's well put.
I think the danger of adapting stuff one-to-one is there's stuff that's just going to happen in a video game that you're just going to let slide. Hideo Kojima, one of the like geniuses of the game design and coming up with creative original content, you know, if somebody made a Death Stranding 1 and 2 one-to-one, I think those would bomb, honestly, even though they're beloved games, because he puts such quirky, one-of-a-kind material into the games. I think as a gamer, you're just kind of used to that. I think if you see some of the crazy shit he comes up with up on the big screen, I think that would bomb. So I respect Gans' approach. I think he was totally going into it with the best intentions. This does not seem phoned in to me one iota, but I don't know. I think with a director, you need a good producing partner. And no, I don't mean no offense, but I think you just need somebody to kind of look at the project, look at the script, and maybe like, we need to make this a little bit more commercial. And I hate using that word, the big C, but right. I do think that would help with some of the issues that this ran into.
And did a lot of the same crew come back? Was it the same composer? Was it the same DP? Do you know? Or
same composer, same producing company, the Hideta family. I don't know about DP. I can watch huge budget successful movies and still pick apart CG issues. There's some CG stuff here that doesn't work, but I'm going to use that with most major releases. Right. There is some CG stuff here that I thought was really cool. So again, I like the world they created here. And even in some of the negative reviews, they'll couch it with, well, he's got a visual eye, but... And to me, I think that visual eye is doing a lot of heavy lifting. And I get, look, if you're not into the script at all, that's not going to save it. I don't want to like damn this with faint praise, but I could throw this on and have a good time again with no reservations whatsoever, even knowing that the script's not perfect, even knowing some of the drawbacks I've called out before. Look, and I think it'd be easy to come in and have an MST3K type episode where it's, I chipped my tooth. I had the worst evening and just like, honestly, that's not how it went. I enjoyed the movie. I was like, ugh, like I did sigh a few times, but like I enjoyed it. My tooth went. I just had to laugh and I drove home. And I think that's the perfect review for this film.
I love it. We all appreciate the sacrifice your mouth had to make for this podcast. Thanks everyone for joining us for this episode of Short Ends. If you like what you heard, please leave a review or like or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to reach out with a comment, you can email us at realdemers@gmail.com. Thanks
If you
again.
like this movie, you need to tell us. I want to find Fella. We'll have a movie night together.
That's a
so.
good point. All right. Thanks, everyone.